Yeah, so I think the Union looks really good because they have really good individual players. I think Askia is like a really good player. It's definitely going to be a fun duelist matchup against him. You know, it's always going to be a tough, fun game. You know, we just got to crack them and figure them out in the moment, in the match, always adapt, and then I think we'll be good.
Eu acho que a The Guard, nesse quesito, eles são um time mais preparado para jogar em stage. Acho que eles têm um pouco mais de experiência do que os caras da M80. Eu acho que a M80 fez bons campeonatos online, o que faz muita diferença jogar no seu conforto. Mas eu acho que os dois times muito equilibrados. Da mesma forma que a M80 dominou o online, eles poderiam ter perdido. E da mesma forma que eu acho que a The Guard está um pouco superior no quesito psicológico aqui na LAN, eles podem perder também.
Yeah, we're definitely here to avenge NA. You know, it was always a rivalry in NA with us and M80. But you know, when we came to this event, I think it feels like NA versus Brazil versus LATAM. It feels like all the regions were fighting for themselves. So yeah, when we won the game against M80 just now, we said over to the stage like, we're gonna avenge you guys, and we're here for North America, and we're gonna do great.
Eu acho que essa rivalidade é mais por parte deles do que pela nossa. A gente veio focado em ser campeão, não em ganhar de time X ou Y. Esses dois times pra mim não tem muita diferença, são estilos de jogos parecidos, mas no mais é isso, não tô muito preocupado contra quem eu vou jogar não.
I think the Union will be the hardest matchup. You know, I think them being comfortable on this stage is a big factor. You know, they've been playing here for a long time, but I think we'll be able to crack them. You know, comfort only brings you so far, but at the end of the day, it's who the better team is, and that's really all that matters.
Vencer a The Guard tem isso também, da gente colocar moral neles também, da mesma forma como a gente colocou na M80. A gente quer mostrar, a gente já sabe disso, mas a gente quer mostrar pra todo mundo que a gente é o melhor time do campeonato. E acho que é isso, no final, o que importa é quem é campeão e a gente quer o pote de ouro.
It is time for our upper finals match. I feel like a match that could be at the caliber of the grand finals here, as we're going to see the Guard and the Union go up against each other, Tanner. And it should be such a highly anticipated match.
Yeah, I mean, you heard it there. I do love that the Guard kind of have this extra chip on their shoulder in saying like, hey, we're going to get it done for M80. We're going to avenge you guys. Meanwhile, on the opposite side, the Union's just like, who are these guys? Like, yeah, we're just gonna come beat everybody. We're not worried about anybody specifically. Like, we're the Union. We're qualifying for Americas. So this is, yeah, it's super exciting to kind of see the back and forth between the two teams so far.
Especially too with how strong both teams have been able to play in Ascension so far. Both of these teams were the best in their group, which meant they got to have that first round bye going into our bracket. So be exciting considering how strong they've been playing and being able to see that play out in the matches that they've had so far. When we see the top two teams face off, who is going to be considered the best for now?
Yeah, both teams so far have done so well in Ascension, but especially the Union, because I'm pretty sure they're undefeated since Split 2 still. Which, I mean, props to them. They've just played out of their mind. And I think that they have just strong mid-round adjustments that just makes their gameplay just so hard to predict.
Yeah, I want to talk on that win streak. 17 series in a row since their last loss. Looking to make it 18 against the Guard here. That's insane from the Union.
It 100% is, but the Guard, I feel like since coming to LAN, this is going to be their comfort zone. We got to see in their games so far how well they've been playing. Even if, sure, maybe in NA they didn't come in as the top team, maybe the second, they're definitely proving to be one of the top contenders here. And diving in a little bit deeper on a couple of the players here, Starry, first want to be talking about Jonah P, because I feel like at this point we could honestly pull up any member of the Guard and really be able to talk about how well they've been playing. But Jonah P, especially his Sky gameplay, has just been great.
Yeah, Jonah P has just been one of those like really consistent players, especially his Sky. I feel like he just gets so much value just out of his util, not only for his team, but his individual playmaking has just been insane. He's been so good for those multi-kills, so good for like those like clutches, really like bringing the confidence in for his team.
To add to multi-kills in the matchup against M80, which is arguably, I would say, probably the hardest matchup that those two teams are going to play. Not that the Union is easy, but just the fact that they've gone back and forth so many times. The guard sometimes getting the better of M80, but M80 kind of being just like the Titan, just the number one. In that series, Jonah P, 30% of the time, he is getting multi-kills between the maps that were played, right? If you can pick 1 out of 3 rounds that Jonah P is going to get a multi-kill, like that's just an insane number.
It really is. And he's definitely someone that'll have to step up today in the whole squad, as over on the other side for the Union.
I think we might have lost Sierra, but I think she wanted to really bring up Askia. He's been such a pivotal person for the Union. He's really stepped up to the plate. Like, out of everybody, like, he has been the one to really, like, pop off. And I feel like he's their newest addition. I wouldn't say, like, the newest. Like, he's been playing with them for, like, over a month now. But, like, you know, out of the whole team, he's their newest addition. And he has such big shoes to fill. And he's been doing such a great job at it, right, Tanner?
Yeah, so like to talk about those shoes that he's filling, a very successful Union squad that's on, I think, like a 6 or 7 series win streak, playing with Havoc, Havoc out, Askia in, and he has to now fill those shoes of this team that's been piecing together these wins, and he's done so perfectly. And although we've had high expectations, he has lived up to the expectations of being the duelist and then more. I think what makes Askia shine so much, and we were talking about this a little bit, Starry, is, you know, we look at players like Kowalinu, we look at players like Trent, and we have these expectations. And sometimes the players don't meet them, right? It's been kind of wishy-washy for some of the players that we had high expectations of. And for Askia, it's just been business as usual. Every single time we see this guy play, he's doing his job and so much more.
Yeah, no, like, Askia, he's, like, had those insane multi-kills as well. Like, you know, we talk about Jonah P being able to have those, like, multi-kills, being such a pivotal person for the guard. And then you have Askia, who also is just, like, absolutely insane. Yeah. Like, he had, like, an ace the other day on Pearl that was just, like, absolutely crazy. He's just always good for the multi-kills. His entries are just on point. Like, everything about Askia, like, he has such big shoes to fill. And it's like, he just doesn't feel the pressure at all.
No, not at all. And even hearing in that interview, Union, again, I think that having no pressure just comes from them really believing, truly believing that they are the best team in the tournament, just as a whole. So it's going to be fun. I do want to kind of lay some, like, ground for these two teams. We've highlighted a couple players. We have a couple more to highlight coming up, but 9 out of 10 of these players are in the top 10 for stats for the guard and the Union. The only person that's outside of it is Valen, who we mentioned before the show, and coming into this, Valen himself saying, hey, I'm taking kind of a step back in terms of being the super playmaker, and I want to lean more into making sure that I'm making good calls and making the right calls for my team.
For sure. I think it takes a lot out of an IGL to kind of, like, be like, hey guys, like, you know, I'm really trusting you. And it's, like, really good for his teammates too. Like, they're really trusting Valen to take a step back on that fragging power, and they're really trusting their IGL, like, to really make those calls, and for everyone else to really step up in that big way for them to find that win is huge. And I feel like 2 players that we can really highlight on, you know, versus the Union and M80 would be Trent and NTK.
Yeah, between these two, arguably, like Sierra said, a grand finals worthy matchup. So incredibly close in the way that in the strengths that they bring into this, right? 2 teams that are seemingly at the top, and these are 2 players that we can kind of turn our eyes towards for the I guess the pivot point, right? The players that are going to push their team over the edge. The stat that I look at the most outside of the ACS and the KD and all that stuff is down there at the bottom, Starry, where you're sitting at basically 40% clutch between the 2 of them. We just saw it the other day, Trent finding 1v3 clutches and retakes. Like, these 2 really are the difference makers.
And those clutch percentages are so pivotal in shifting that momentum, right? Like, those clutches really bring back the confidence for your team and gets you the ball rolling to, like, just win more rounds. Like, once you see Trent hit that 1v3, it's like, we can win this, we can do this, confidence is up, everybody's, like, playing as a team, the mood is shifted. Like, the momentum shifter clutch percentage is huge. And NTK does the same thing for the Union, you know, like, his clutches are so good, it brings back the momentum for the Union, it shuts down the momentum for the other team.
Yeah, and it seems like we've got Sierra back. We're going down the line of disconnecting. So I went first. Sierra went
No,
second.
don't say that. Don't say that.
Yeah.
No,
Sorry,
no.
feel free just at any point. Yeah.
Hey, I had to come back. I was not gonna miss this match, but apparently the match and the weather outside just a little too hot for my poor Canadian. It's production. Please, no. We can't even. Don't even joke about that flip. No. But hey, exciting things headed into today's matchup. And honestly, y'all got to run through a couple of things where I've gone. Where are we landing on the consensus, Tanner? Looking into this, is this finally going to be your 3-map series?
I hope it's going to be the 3-map series. Yeah, man, when you just look at the two teams, obviously we talked about their strengths. We kind of went through their players. Another crazy stat that I think is super fun that stands out is in the post plant on the attacking side for the Union. So I look at this kind of as the immovable object, unstoppable object, and the immovable force. Unstoppable force, immovable object? Either way, the Union are going to be running forward, and the Guard are usually a team that do pretty well in kind of handling that pressure, receiving the pressure, and dealing with it like that. We see it all the time in the M80 versus the Guard matchup. It makes this exciting. And coming into this, the casters talked a lot about the Union in their post plant, right? If you let them plant that spike, I think it's like 86% of the time or 88% of the time they're going to win that round, which is number one in that respective stat. But on the inverse, the Guard are the best retaking team. So we are really getting a nice kind of yin and yang between these two teams, which makes it that much more exciting.
And I cannot wait to see, once we get into match, how that dynamic is going to be playing out. And this is the chance, if anybody needs to go get anything, to go get it now. You do not want to miss a single second. We're going to be taking a quick break. Get your food quick. Be back soon. It is going to be the Union versus the Guard, the unstoppable force versus the immovable object. There you go, Tanner, on that.
Thank you.
I got you. But honestly, a matchup that could be worthy of the grand finals, and we get a sneak preview of it here in the upper finals, Tanner. These are two teams that, if people had to be putting their money on, I think it'd be right here.
Yeah, 100%. I think the best part about it, too, is we're seeing a Union that has kind of surpassed their expectations. We expected them to be a strong team. We knew what Askia was going to do with the rest of the squad, and they've done more so. They've gone above and beyond. And across from them is a Guard that is coming in based on... Okay, actually, never mind. So we'll hold it for a second. We'll talk about this Union team that is, again, rising above expectations set for them. A strong team. We knew that was going to happen, but they are doing so much more than just that.
100%. And it was a team too that other regions were talking about wanting to face off once they got to Ascensions. M80 had spoken of them so much. This was the team they wanted to play up against. And I feel like that is a shared sentiment here. There's definitely a lot of respect, given over to the Union and what they're able to accomplish out there.
Yeah, Union is definitely a team that you just can't underestimate. Their mid-round adjustments are so good, just makes them super unpredictable. Like, I feel like it's really hard to do your homework on this team because even if they have a game plan, they're just that much quicker to adjust out of it. If something happens, they just make the adjustments that much quicker. So it's like really hard to read them, and they're just a really well-rounded team. Like, we knew how good they were, we just didn't really know how good.
Yeah, and as you kind of go down the list of players for the Guard on the other side, I think you've got players that are the only role that sticks out to me that might not be as similar is the way that Tex is going to play the game versus the way that Askia is going to play the game. And that's something that the Guard have mentioned, whereas Tex is going to be a bit more reserved, kind of more of a rock, versus Askia on the other side, who is kind of just diffuse. He's just, hey, go, go, go. Tex is going to be one of those players who is looking to receive some of that aggression and then look to dish it out.
The Guard really has a known reputation to be like a team that's able to shut down a duelist. Like, they're really good at like shutting down like the early aggressions from a duelist. And I really love to see what they have planned for Askia, like how they're gonna deal with him just being a force, how they're gonna kind of shut down his momentum.
And that's something that they did yesterday. If you look back at the stats, it's very rare that Kuala Noob has a game where he's going negative, or even a series where he's going negative, and they handled that immediately. So I think a big tool for the Guard here is dealing with this duelist. It's way easier said than done.
And the map picks and bans as we're getting on into them for this series. I know it's something that was touched on a little bit before, and heading on in the Guard banning out Lotus, and it's going to be Fracture, Tanner, that we're going to be heading on to first. This is going to be the pickup from the Union.
Yeah, I mean, I am perplexed by what's happening with the map picks and bans thus far. The Guard have essentially been perma-banning Pearl first, and Union have been playing Pearl and Fracture. So I thought they would get one of the two. Yeah, I mean, and the Pearl ban doesn't ever even come through. Like, this looks so good for the Union should we get out to that map 3.
Yeah, and this is a Union at this point that headed on into the upper finals doesn't necessarily feel maybe as tested as I feel like we would have maybe wanted to see. Sorry, we're gonna see that 2 picks that they've been playing over and over in this Fracture and then that Pearl as the decider. So this seems to get really scary if all of a sudden this goes to a 3-map series if you're a Guard of the fan.
Yeah, I feel like if I'm the Guard, I'm going to want to clean sweep it at 2-0. I'm not going to want to get it to that 3rd map because I feel like Fracture and Pearl just a very comfortable map from the Union. We've seen them play it over during the Ascension. Like, I think we've only seen them play it so far. But an Ascent is like a really strong pick for the Guard. Obviously, they had like the 13-6 win against 9Z and the 13-7 win against M80. So we know that they're very comfortable on it. The only issue is we don't know what the Union is capable of on Ascent yet.
We're gonna have to see what both teams capable of over on Fracture at the map 1 here, as of course, if we're looking on the side of the Guard, if we're looking for the 2-0 Tanner, it all starts here.
Yeah, it all starts here. Nothing changes. The Fade Com coming in for the Guard. Yeah, I think the Guard are coming off of a very, very strong win, but they're playing an even stronger team here and a very comfortable map for the Union.
100%. And yet again, this is the upper finals, a chance for one of the teams to start paving their way towards that grand final, one step closer to Americas here, and to be taking us through this game. Well, this one is going to be going over to Selling Not Mine. Take it away, boys.
Thank you so much, Sierra. And yeah, this is an exciting one. The upper finals between the Guard and the Union. This is going to be an exciting matchup. It's the most anticipated matchup in the biggest challenger stage that we've had this year.
It has to be because, look, we're looking at the best teams from Brazil and North America, and that's undisputed. I mean, both teams, they haven't ran into any adversity so far in their run.
Undefeated in the group stages and undefeated thus far here in playoffs. The Guard, I think it might have been a mistake to let this Fracture go through just based on how well the Union have played. But we started off here in the Vista round. I think the Guard will need a strong attack here just to kick it off.
We see that Sage Wall from Rafa that's going to be real dangerous as this game goes on. But now the gun battle goes in already for the Guard as the 2 players over towards B. They're just trying to take in some attention here from the Union. They're about to be successful. It's 4 people on this B side.
The last 2 times Guard have ever played Fracture, they've done very heavy approaches to this B side, and that's what Union were anticipating. They walled off Tree and pushed towards Arcade.
Valen goes up. Pank spraying away, but not able to get anything. This should be finally the safe spike plant, but it has to be safe. Union, a 2-man advantage right now. 2 smokes being utilized. Valen still has a single smoke to use, and he actually pulls it up early. Net bursts in to at least cut down the retake, but Pank comes in, takes down Valen. You still have Tex alongside Net. Tex finally gets taken out by an aftershock. This was looking impossible from the very beginning here for the Guard. And indeed, at the end, it's just a bit too far out of their reach.
The Vista round already, you're seeing some signs of that aggression from Union. Establishing that early space is a theme that we've seen from Rafa throughout the group stages and their first match of playoffs is he'll establish early control, specifically down towards Tree with that wall. And Union are going to be a team that will push the Guard's buttons and try and get it in their fades. It's not something that the Guard are used to so far. I think 0-0 Nation is probably the best example of that kind of aggression. And in this post plant, it's funny that Tanner was talking about how these are the 2 best teams, like Union's the best in post plants, the Guard are the best in retakes, but they start on opposite sides. But that's definitely something to watch out for throughout this series. The Guard still not slouches in the post plant. They're actually number 2 and Union number 3 in the retake, only by a 2% margin. As Union, they have their full buy here, and we're seeing, again, 3 Bulldogs bought up. Something they've been doing throughout this entire event is establishing a strong bonus moving forward.
Oh my goodness, and this is finally a clean bonus coming in from Union. It's going to be potentially 4 players alive, 2 rifles in their hands at the moment. Jonah P needing to run away. Pank can't drop this. An extra Bulldog would be nice. Askia just coming in for the cleanup, and finally it's gone. So now moving into the real show. The Guard get the guns.
And this is where I'm going to kind of keep an eye on if the Guard are going to make any changes to their offensive structure. From the last 2 times they played it, it was during Challengers playoffs, it was against Moist Moguls in their first best-of-3 in the lower finals, and then they took the map off of them, and then in the grand finals against M80, they won it 13-11. A lot of it was just full sight hits, and that mid-rounding style that we praise the Guard so much for is very difficult on this map of Fracture, just because there are so many lanes that you have to watch out for, that you can get caught off guard, especially with a team like the Union that are very key on getting aggressive and pushing your buttons. And here's a play towards Arcade to get this wall set up here and set Oski up for maybe an aggressive look.
Exactly that. Oskia getting pushed all the way up. But look at this over towards Dish.
I think he's on top of the wall towards Arcade, and that wall is a sound cue for Trent to know that, okay, there's been an established control here towards Arcade, but I don't think he's going to expect Oskia to have already pushed up all the way here.
Indeed, he walks away. There's still a trip right behind him, but again, there's nothing actually detecting if Oskia can actually go out. But Trent does call it out. Good eye on Trent, but Goo. The important interaction over towards a Dish ends up getting taken down, but this is now a little awkward for the Union. It's only Pank.
And that kill on the B site has spurred Guard over towards here. Again, we're not going to see these crazy fakes like we did yesterday on Haven. It's just a little bit harder to manage these 4 lanes, and so Pank, one of the top site anchors here, has got a lot to deal with.
Oh, and he gets taken down immediately. Too much on his plate, and he spills just a little bit as now the Union, they now face a bit of a difficult task here. Still have quite a bit of util to actually get back into this and actually trying to make a lane early over in Gen. There's already a smoke in their face, though.
It'd be hard to crack this defensive setup for the Guard in this post plan. It just feels like Union might be looking for exits here.
Has to be, but again, Union, they're still inching forward, trying to see what space they can actually get. NTK finally stepping up into tower. But little did he know, Valen, his steps up the ropes were just a fake for Trent. Jonah P takes down the last.
Yeah, playing for exits there, you can say Goo not fully investing that bandwidth. He does get caught off guard regardless. Oh god, I did the off-guard joke. Jeez, man. I was really hoping I wasn't going to use that today. But Union now having their full buy here once again. The Guard actually are changing a little bit of their setups. Like I was saying earlier, the last 2 times they played, it was a lot of full site hits. Here, they actually waited for any aggression, especially in this bonus round where, yeah, Union are more likely to get aggressive because there's not a lot to lose here. They're going to have a full buy moving forward in the next round. And so Guard are patiently waiting for that kind of play here. But this time, that's that full site hit that I was mentioning. They're actually going for it this time.
Yeah, Rafa taking on the pressure, doesn't immediately pull out the wall.
They're baiting out the wall here, it looks like. Seeing if they can catch the timing here. There's a lot of time to play with once that wall goes up if you can bait it out early.
Stun's gonna go up. Rafa needs to back away. That's a good combo to say the least.
And he loves this wall over towards Jenny where he can get a nice angle over the smokes. We'll see if he does it here.
It's overwhelming. He needs to back up all the way over towards Dish, but with the wall, he can actually boost himself
and
up.
They're free-firing it. They're so aware, the Guard, of this kind of play.
The Guard are just waiting now to see what angles the Union are gonna try to get into sight, but this is so safe here from the Guard.
You gotta be careful here not to give Goo a kill. He's only 1 off the orbital strike, but they will get the spike down for now. Oski on a pretty deep flank. He's avoided the trap wire, but he has been spotted by the cam.
But surely they heard the alarm bot, or excuse me, the boom bot. Net still steps into the interaction, and now it's become quite a difficult scenario. Here comes Trent going through, running into the smoke, actually getting another kill. He finally goes down. Tex now in a 1v2, 5 HP. There's no way.
Wow.
That Net has a chance here, and indeed he doesn't. NTK closes it out.
And I believe the Guard got aggressive towards defender spawn because of Oskia's push. Like that presence in losing that part of the map, you have to act very quick if you're the Guard, because Union are a team that, with that kind of map control, are very good on those retakes. They establish defender spawn towards Jenny and Canteen, and having that flank, the Guard kind of recognized we need to push something, get space back here, and that's why we saw this defender fight. Union just barely able to get through here in the 1 versus 1 as Trent finds a nice double as he pushes through that smoke. Tex on 5 HP, not able to get it done. Union will reset the Guard here. Actually, I don't think it will be a full reset. There should be some cash left over because of how many players they kept alive.
Yep.
Yeah, the bonus of Union. So yeah, there is still a buy here and a lot of ults coming online for both of these sides.
Incredibly important ultimates from Union, but here comes Rafa.
Denying this orb early on here is Union, fighting for the A main orb and the B tree orb.
The Guard were always going to be in this type of scenario, and the Union are calling them out early for it. Pank backing out. Rafa is the one with the angle. You still have Union actually making some movement over towards A at the same moment. 2 players currently deep into A main.
They're getting the orb here. It looks like for Jonah P, possibly, maybe Valen. It's one of the 2.
Here we go. It's going to be Net alongside Tex to try to take on the Lurk. Goo backs out with a kill. That's all you could really ask for after his teammate went down.
Some great recognition from the guard that Union would push there after giving them so much space and not putting any contests. Thunder here to work with, but they've actually used it over towards the A side, and they've made it out one ultimate. Can they bait out a second here maybe with Jonah P setting util?
They're making their same approach over towards A now, but Rafa, they don't know about Rafa, but Rafa.
Well, punish.
A couple of bullets got banged out by the Prowler. Here comes Pank. Pank around the corner, getting called out. An Aftershock in his direction, but a Rolling Thunder. This is certainly helping out, but the Aftershock, well done by Jonah P. Calling out the position of Pank. NTK is here. Right after the Rolling Thunder, Goo actually takes one back. This is starting to become a bit possible here for the Union. But that's a perfect isolation off of the orbital strike. It forces NTK to move. And Goo, all in his own in a 1v3. And surely he doesn't have a chance. Doesn't have any idea about these positions.
Yeah.
And his teammate, yeah, they need the cash.
Have to save here. He's gonna have a single Vandal to work with here. It's gonna be the hero rifle. Won't be able to drop any guns over, but having one rifle, especially in the hands of Goo, who is typically a very aggressive defensive player, would be a nice addition moving forward. The guard having a really nice understanding of these ultimates. I love the bait from Jonah P over towards A main. Calls out the orbital strike and even committing 3 players there from the Union. We are seeing a switch up from the guard in terms of the play style on this attacking side. I said it was harder to play that like mid-rounding calling style that VALORANT has been absolutely on top of his game lately, but he's still doing that, but focusing all of their attention on one part of the map. I mean, this is a 4-lane map, and so him isolating 2 parts of the map, that being B tree and A main, the main focus in that last round, he's able to still have those mid-round shifts and call out the Union aggression. And he called it out perfectly when they pushed towards A main, baiting in that first peak, finding that kill, and then baiting out those ultimates, that B main exec. They didn't fully commit. They waited for the Rolling Thunder to come through and even sent an Aftershock so there wasn't going to be a quick pounce from the Union.
And a map that has so many lanes to enter in, the Union not having that one big lane on the south side to actually monitor, to be able to actually know where that rotation is actually going, is actually working out pretty well from the guard, like you're saying. You could see kind of that reaction from the Union. You saw multiple players in the south side trying to get that control. You saw, of course, over towards A main. You saw the wall go up at the same time. So the Union keeping an eye on the fact that the guard, they're really hunkering down on a lot of that control just so they could get some of that breathing space later on in the round so they could actually kind of recollect themselves.
And it's these full rifle rounds that obviously for a lot of teams, for a lot of matches are the deciding factor, but these are our 2 leading teams when it comes to their rifle rounds and their full buys. Both teams having a plus 60% win rate, so these are kind of the big moments here, and the swing rounds that will come. We found in those huge buys from these 2 teams. For now, the Union not having that kind of buy here are going to try something a little bit more aggressive.
A little bit more. It's 3 players over towards Dish. This might be a big explosion. Askia is already stepping up. They don't make any noise in terms of getting the orb. They're just looking for a burst. They're just looking for this control. Nets has them all. Pank, Goo, and Askia all gone. The Vandal of Net and NTK and Rafa. Of course, at this point, just looking for a couple picks just to try to really make this round.
Shorty, he's got it.
8 HP for Rafa.
Capitalizing on ult orbs here for the guard. I mean, this is a very annoying comp to play against if you're on the defense or the attacking side. It's a very powerful comp because of how many ultimates you can have, and so we'll see how the guard elect to move around the map and capitalize the fact that there are 4 ult orbs. Like you've got Trent's Nightfall after Jonah P and VALORANT both just used their Rolling Thunder and Orbital Strike in the previous round. You're having another ult combo that could possibly happen between Trent and Tex. It's an incredibly difficult comp to play against a team that understands how to maximize the ult orb space on this map. So that next round, even with the full buy from the Union, they'll have to be careful of the way that Trent is going to set Tex up for that kind of explosive play. Granted, the Desk did talk about how Tex isn't necessarily that explosive kind of player. On this attacking side, he will definitely have to be that kind of guy and, you know, earning space for his team and setting his team up in these entries a lot.
My ultimate is ready.
At the same time, Rafa does actually get the kill he needed to get that revive, or at least just a kill period. Round is finally ending, but now, again, the Union, they're going to get their guns back. This ultimate from Tex, though, I really want to see how aggressive this man is going to get. Is it going to be an early set piece to really set him in position to succeed, or just to get this team some early map control? off of the showstopper.
Nice little triple from Net here in the eco. You gotta love him kind of getting a stat boost. He was really, really good yesterday. And his defensive calls, something that we'll see when they get to the defensive side, is how he understands how to play his agent. We typically see him on the KJ. Again, this isn't a map that the guard have played all that often, so comfortability comes into question for Net.
Oh my goodness, everyone from the guard potentially getting funneled here. That early stun holding him off just a little bit now. Tex trying to make things a bit difficult here for the Union with the showstopper as he's able to actually isolate one. In terms of NTK, still 3 players here for the Union, the guard, everyone committing to this B take.
And everyone here on the Union as well. That wall going up towards A main is going to allow Rafa to make a rotate if he wants, and they just jump into Pank.
They just run through everyone else from the Union. Goo still fights that Net. Ends up finding Goo on his lonesome. And that pretty much calls off the entire round there for Union.
And that is just the guard dealing with that aggression from Union. That showstopper that Tex sent out despite getting overwhelmed with util. Same thing with Jonah P with his util. Slowing the aggression from Union down. That showstopper is just such a big ultimate to go up against if you're pushing like that. There are so many risks when you're coming in, especially towards Arcade. Such a small lane to fight against. And Union not able to get back in this round after being pushed back down the side. They isolate Pankin towards tower, and that kind of closes out the round. You lose that part of the map. And the guard demolishing the Union, who are a team that love to maintain site control, even in these retakes. They'll keep Pank up towards there. And he's someone that will be isolated by the guard as their offensive rounds continue. As they pick up their 4th here. And a successful spike plant. As Union holding on to these 2 rifles, have a little bit to work with in the next round. Again, their economy not sitting too pretty. They will have the max loss bonus. As guard pick up their 3rd in a row.
I'm liking these aggressive looks from Union, though. They were trying to cut down on that map control again of the guard. Of course, every piece of map control except for A main, very important on this map because of the orbs.
Set piece here from the guard is going to be the C's over right in front of Sandor, and we'll see Tex get out explosively off of the Val and Stim Beacon. And they're looking to combo it early on here. We'll see a fault line as well come out from Jonah P. I believe that's the play here. You're looking at where Trent is set up. Yeah, and you can see the ping on the map as well. They're actually waiting. This is a little bit different. Normally this is a fast exec.
They just chill, exactly. They just get the first pick.
There.
Essentially forcing Union to make the reaction, to show their reaction.
Will re-clear this with Trent's Prowler. Yeah, again, they didn't actually do the fast hit like I was expecting. This is typically that kind of set play. Just go fast, go quick, see what space you can get early on.
There's no info grab here at all. Nobody is hearing this exec into A. Finally, you do finally have NTK coming in from spawn. But this is as the guard are fully into sight. However, 2 players over in Dish can really make things volatile here for the guard. There goes a little bit of util to at least take Jonah P out of sight. The 1 cage allows some breathing space, but here comes Bank from up top, taking down Vale and 3 players wrapped up in sight. It's all gonna be on Net. Net is still over towards main at the moment. He's gonna be isolated as Askia cuts things down by 2. Tex does the same!
Are you kidding me?
And it's all Tex, basically 3 kills, all in his own. And now it's Net, who has the trap. He has Pank. He's spraying away.
You have to spray!
Pank holds on to the defuse, and Net is in shambles.
What an entry from Askia. But initially, it's NTK's fault line and aftershock combo that keeps these players in sight. And the way that this retake worked is Goo was still alive. And when you're playing in a post plant against a smokes player, you just can't go in towards A main. And Union were fully aware of that fact because if you play in A main, you're stuck behind a smoke like Net was in this post play. And these 3 players getting stuck in sight. As Askia finds that first kill, the kill towards under tower, just locking players in. And Askia, sometimes a difference maker. When you've got 10 players on the server that are so evenly matched, explosive plays like that will sometimes be the difference. Tex had one of his own there as well. And instantly the guard are going to call attack pause.
And a round that seemed to be fully theirs. I mean, they had that control, especially on site. That 1 showstopper was everything to sweep away the actual control from the guard. But, oh, at least we saw now a good retake from the Union. Not something that we just haven't seen so far in this game. The guard, they've been super good in this tournament so far in terms of the post plants. At least in that one, they just didn't have the right players in position. But that sort of situation is still going to be incredibly dangerous for the Union to try to take on.
despite the Union picking up that round, it was just their eco. So you have to try and replicate that moving forward. And the Guard, so far, despite losing that round, have got a pretty good grasp on how this map is played by the Union. There's a lot of film on this team. That's one thing to note as well. They've played this already 3 times in Ascension compared to the Guard, who've actually played this 2 times in the last 3 months. Or I think 2 months, apologies, during Challengers playoffs. So not a lot of film on the Guard when it comes to that aspect.
Then we'll see the next map where there's no film on this map in this tournament from the Union, but the Guard, you already have their approach over towards A.
We've seen plays like this before. They're forcing them. So this Fatal is to force them into a rolling thunder from Jonah P towards the top of Dish to see if we can push them back into these players.
It goes a little wide, and Goo over and Sands is able to take down both Net and Valen. There's still another player to deal with in terms of Trent. And exactly that, Union rolls over the Guard.
Not falling for that play whatsoever. That's one that we saw from 0-0 Nation a couple of days ago, where they would rolling thunder from Dish players on site into A main, and it just doesn't work here from the Guard. Again, the idea here is you nightfall, push these players from A main, like back towards the top of A main, like on site where that rolling thunder comes in, and that rolling thunder would stun players and push them into the players pushing A main. But the util layered by the Union, specifically that smoke in the player towards tower, just putting an end to anything that the Guard had set up.
Union, you put up the 3 over towards A main, but now the Guard actually have a pretty decent gap over towards B. There's not a lot of deep coverage by the Union here.
A lot of pressure being applied here from the Union. You say there's not a lot of deep coverage, but they have full A main control and full
A main,
arcade control as well. It's a little bit difficult here to play for the Guard because of this pressure. And the way that the Guard's mid-rounding works is they apply pressure on all parts of the map, kind of forcing teams to play not necessarily blind, but kind of have to make these kind of risky pushes, which we saw a lot yesterday on Haven from M80. But there are no pushes from the Union because they work as a team and they have this wall to allow them some control.
Now the Union are forced to react once again. They hear the wall, they hear this take coming in from the Guard. Tex has made his way into tower. It's going to be Rafa in front of him, but Rafa, he's just slow orbing. He's just trying to combo this, and the stun is beautiful, but an even better shot coming up from Tex. The rotation fully here for the Union, but the Guard, they're making their inch way back over towards A.
It's enough to delay them as well. That one play in towards tower. Even though Tex gets control, they still pick the other way here, and it's just Askia.
Askia with a safe peek. He can bounce in and nade to try to make a little bit more damage. That's an insane pick from Askia, and everyone is still held off over towards Dish.
25 seconds left as well. They have to get it to side. Pank is just spraying through his cage. He's so good there.
Can he do it again? Net behind the box going down to 77, but he's still alive. 3v3. But again, it is only Net here on site, and he's getting chipped down. 25 HP. Pank trying to escape, but he fades away with a kill onto Jonah P. Net again, 25 HP, still looking to hold this back. Here comes a swing. He's in an off angle. He's just looking for the one pick. Indeed, he finds it. Almost a second. Nade comes in from Tex. Tex, he might know about Pank. He's still waiting for the peek potentially from Pank. Tex does not have this angle. He needs to push in. And very safe from Pank, holding the angle. And Union take up a 6th.
And they take A main control as well. Expecting maybe a plant to be there, but definitely making it a lot more difficult for the Guard to deal with that because one player is on site, and it's not the best of crossfires to have. You can isolate Tex alone towards Dish, so this was a smart retake angle taken here from the Union. But again, the delay that they caused in towards tower, forcing this mid-round call from the Guard to pivot back towards the A site, where it felt they were scrambling just a little bit. This isn't a map that they're too comfortable on with making those kind of last-second pivots. And you saw it here in this round as the Union taking control of this map once again. 6-4 they lead, and the Guard are going to try something hefty here with 3 ultimates.
The Guard are going to run into Rafa first in the revive. That's gone immediately. Pank, he's also going to have the first contact.
This guy's been so good with these shots, just playing long range and finding crucial kills and recovering his team to 4v4s.
When it comes to this man holding an angle and just getting the one headshot, he's probably the best at doing so. Valen needed to run away from the orbital strike. Orbital strike going to cover up Jenny just to try to get this plant down.
I know exactly.
There's still 2. Towards elbow that this team is worrying about at the moment. There's a lot of util coming in from the Guard to try to cover up spawn. Askia out of nowhere picking up a kill onto Valen. Valen in the middle of sight going down immediately. Jonah P getting found out, but he still gets a kill. Askia though with a showstopper comes in flying, and now it's Net. Net picks up the first. Askia in a one-on-one against Net, and Net closes it out in a 2v1.
taking it 6-5 for the guard.
Before the switch.
They're looking to tie things up here, and the Union getting everything right, by the way. The entry from Askia to get back into the site. As soon as this boom bar goes off, he pops his ultimate and is immediately trying to capitalize on it. The player's going to be focused on that boom bot, right? That's a very quick retake off of the boom bot play. But Net in this clutch, just playing on site in tower, is able to find those early picks as those players come out. And it puts the guard in a position where they're only one away from tying things up here. This is the upper bracket finals, and our two best teams are neck and neck.
Here comes a big push coming up from Union in two different directions. Pank coming out, taking down Tex. It was Askia alongside him. Pank looking for yet another trade. This is so dangerous here for Pank. What do they have over towards A? He just can't do this.
A crunch in the back.
And DK right behind him helping out. There goes Pank once again. But like you said, Crunch coming in from the back. Pank needs to watch his back. He does have a teammate though. Rafa comes in, does take down Valen for the trade. Here comes Union, two players in main. The wrap for wrap. Union comes up through spawn, the guard comes in through spawn, and it's a war in A main that ends up in the Brazilians' favor.
And closing it with aggression is just the Brazilian style. 7-5, Union able to get the better of the guard here in this 12th round. And that ultimate off of the double push in towards tree. That's the first time we've seen that aggressive look here from the Union. They don't typically push that B tree area. We know that Rafa's just going to throw a wall down and establish control, and the guard not prepared for it. This Union have established a lead going into this second half. This attacking side is where they're the most formidable in a lot of these rounds. The guard will need some kind of huge performance on this defensive side. Again, not a map that we've seen them play all that often. There's so much tape on Union for their execs. And this pistol round is typically where they go towards A, and the guard have got a pretty good read on it.
It's Tex on the front side, and like you said, plenty of players here from the guard, ready and raring to go. 4 players surrounding this, plenty of util to go. There goes the first Prowler just to get the info, just to slow them down. Askia gets slowed. Jonah P picks up the kill on Dagoon. They still haven't made their way out. Trent around. No way, Trent. There's no way he gets more than one there. 8 HP left, and everyone else going down in an instant for Union. The guard takes them all down.
Certainly doing their homework here. A lot of these A exits will go through sand, and the guard putting both Trent and Jonah P, 2 initiators with a lot of util to slow things down. As Jonah P sends a full line, Trent throws the haunt as well to get information. As they push out towards Sands, the guard fully prepared in the pistol round like that. And that's a big one to pick up. They're right back into this game where if a Union pick that one up, the gap kind of starts to widen here. So that's a big round for the guard to have. And this defensive side, we're finally going to see the power of their retakes and the power of the Union post plant. And the desk talked about it. Number 1 in post plants is the Union. Number 1 in retakes is the guard. The yin and yang, as Tanner put it. And you cannot give this Union team any space in these post plants because they will demolish you, even in eco rounds like this.
You give Rafa some space though, and he ends up falling apart for it. That's a 3-man crossfire where not a single player from the guard was actually peeking at deep angle. Everyone just shoulder peeking. This is an incredibly safe look coming out from the guard at the moment. Union just getting chipped down. That's all that you want to see from the guard at the moment. There's no worries over towards Arcade or Tree. That is very even coverage, safe coverage over on B. Over on A, it's the same deal.
I do wonder if that retake stat will actually hold up for the guard, because one of the main reasons why they're so good is because they get a lot of early 5 versus 4s on their defensive side, and it's hard to trade. Tex has 13 first kills on their defensive side compared to only 6 on his attacking side. And the reason why it's so crucial that Tex is the one finding these first bloods is because typically he's playing the Jet, and it's almost impossible to trade the Jet. A lot of the times, Tex will get a kill and just get out for free. Whereas in the attack, if he gets a kill, it's a little bit more difficult to make those kind of dashes, because most of the time you want to push forward. But here, he's playing the Raze. Not the best agent to, opt, get a pick, and dash out. So I don't know if the guard will have that same advantage a lot of the times here on Fracture because he's not playing that Jet role. So Union, they have their full buy here now. Granted, Tex is pretty good here to get that first kill, but in their bonus, I'm expecting some set piece to get control. It's something that the guard do on their defense a lot across their map pool, is they'll have these set pieces, and it looks like here over towards B tree already, 4 versus 3, or 3 versus 3, and it's all the same agents as well.
Yeah, they're setting up Net on the other side just for a bit of insurance, but
expecting
Net,
it.
Tex going all the way down. Askia still going in, going down too, but hello, NTK, he's the only one here. Almost the spike gets dropped. It was almost a disaster for the Union. The guard almost getting exactly what they wanted out of that interaction. The Union instead, they have Rafa undetected. Now detected.
And they've elected to play an A gamble because of their lesser guns here, the guard. Keeping Net as well out of harm's reach so he can have his trip to give them information, but they've actually gone the other way around. That's a very well-timed cage, and will actually buy a little bit of time as Net has just heard that orb get picked up, and he needs to buy time because 2 of his players are going for a flank here.
Can't really do much though. Wall goes up in his face. He has to shift all the way back. Does actually now have an angle that nobody's watching.
The cam got spotted, it looks like.
They're at least calling it out. There goes Rafa. Rafa getting wrapped on at the moment, but watch out for the man in tower. It is Pank from above, knocking down one, but Net actually finds a big kill onto NTK. This is still a very possible retake coming in from the guard. They just need this arcade interaction to actually go right. Pank getting wrapped on as Trent gets a kill onto Rafa. It's all Pank in a 1v1 against Trent. Trent knocking him down all the way to 42 HP. But Pank still has the control, still has the space, still has the timing. Trent holding on. Pank doesn't even have a gun out, and Trent now has the control. Trent now has it down to half. Pank playing with him, going in for the shoulder peek, and Trent! He's done it!
That time! 0.12 seconds. Pank just jiggle peeking over and over. He had it at half, and you thought for sure he was going to win out this round. Pank has come up huge so many times for this Union team on Fracture, and he does it once more. A huge round as well for the Union because they would have been reset. And that would have been the lead here for the guard. But Pank, again, playing with his prey here is Trent. Not able to get this defuse out in time. The guard still putting on a lot of damage there on their bonus. That's 4 players gone. And the Union not happy with that round as they want it to be a lot cleaner. They don't have the best buy here.
Tax, he could actually break this apart. No way, no way. He might get caught up. Trent gets 2 though. Gets 3. Oh my goodness, Trent. Holding it all down. But right next to him, of course, was Jonah P. Jonah P with the Rolling Thunder alongside the stun at the same time. Everyone from the Union just getting funneled in A main. What
a great defense from the guard. They're changing the way that they play this Sands control. So the Union have this one set piece that they run over and over, which is a slow orb and a molly that will land right in front of defender spawn, catching players in the slow orb and catching players trying to make a rotate or pushing out. But the way guard adjusts in that round is they get close, aggressive in towards Sand. Jonah P in a perfect spot to utilize his util to support his teammates. And the guard are not flustered whatsoever as other teams have to that exec. Union didn't have the buy they wanted the last time. This time they do, and they might go for that exact same exec. Rafa in a position to send that slow orb.
Nobody here, though, from the guard to actually punish this from the Union. The Union are finally going to have a bit of a clean look. The Prowler's just going to detect them, but there's nothing to actually hold them back. Union stepping into A. There's 2 players over towards Dish. It's a good nightfall. Could potentially hold some players here, but at least gets a whole lot of information. Same thing with a Decay. Decay still in. Askia finally making his way into sight. And this smoke is just going to last forever here in Dish. These players can't actually make a spray.
And once again, this is where Union are powerful. In their post plants, you cannot give them time to set up like this.
Oh, Rafa got caught. Rafa got caught. And now he goes down. 4v4 coming back. But Askia with a swift trade picking up 2. And it's all now down to Jonah P and Net. Net picks up the 1. You still have Jonah P inching his way into sight. Actually flashes the player. But Pank, even while Flash ends up picking up the pieces onto Jonah P, and the Union now have the lead.
A ridiculous strength again of the Union. They are so good. And not only their 5v4s, but in their post plans, they win 90% of their 5v4s, and they win 84% of their post plans. And you can see exactly why. Rafa gets caught, but Askia is so quick to answer the call by swinging that door open and finding his trade. You just don't expect that kind of play. And Union are fully prepared for Rafa getting caught out there. And they take a massive post-plant win that puts them back on track for this map. A big map they need to pick up here as it is their best in their map pool.
And Tex starts off the round right. Everyone from the Union basically halted in their tracks over in A main. Just 1 pick doing so. What else do the Union actually have here? They have a player over towards Dish. It's Pank.
like how split they're playing here, the guard, knowing the orbital strike is more than likely to come in for the Zag. Only one player would get caught out no matter what happens.
The Union could isolate an angle or two off of the orbital, but again, it's the guard that have the advantage. They can react with an orbital themselves. Here comes MTK with the step up. Will they even need the orbital? All they need is Tex. Tex snags down far, and he's looking for the showstopper to really end it all, but no. Pank runs away, 33 HP, and the guard are now trying to isolate the man to try to give Tex his moment.
And this does feel like the Union are trying to come up with execs on the fly. I don't think I've ever seen them go for a 4-man push through A main at all in the 3 times they've played it so far. And definitely not in that fashion with no util to set them up. Losing Askia so early
30
on
seconds left.
hurts their exec play, and that's why Tex is so good on this defensive side. This is where he finds the majority of his first kills. He's able to get one, get out, and he's untradeable. I had questions again how good guard would be on their defense because Tex isn't playing that agent, that jet duelist, where he gets a kill and dashes out. But here he's got no troubles whatsoever. And guard tying this up here. Pank saving the rifle allows for another buy for the Union to play within this next round. NTK's got cash, Rafa's got cash, Askia and Gu might be the 2 players that we have to watch out for what their buy is going to be. But for now, the guard taking back control of this game with a very, very clean one. Tex finding 4.
Tex in the early rounds, he's only been working with the angles that he's afforded. He's not going too deep into A main. He's not going too wide. Playing with the headshot position on top of the box. Satchel on the wall for him to get away.
4 ultimates for the Union to play with here.
It's a huge round for the Union. If the guard can hold this one back.
And they don't force into this one. They're going to give guard possibly the lead, and I don't think we'll see those 4 ultimates come in. They are a team that will use ults in these eco rounds, but that's only if they can find the first blood.
They hold off on the half of the guard. Not doing anything too aggressive at the moment. It's over towards the B site. It's just recon. You have Valen looking out for the first contact, and you still have the cams up. For the guard, net around the corner, not going to be able to see anything just yet. The Union, they're making their slow take on. What's the answer here from the guard?
Play the retake here. What a spam from Valen just through the smoke, just anticipating where that player was going to be. And there's an orbital strike here to deny the spike as well. Guard are willing to risk that kind of ult play.
And Askia getting spotted, but there goes the Union once again. Still trying to get this spike down. And they're struggling so much. A nightfall alongside the neural theft. And now they're stuck up in tower. With the guard once again regaining that map control, regaining that line of sight. And the Union are basically done for with this round. What else do they have here?
There's a fault line. I don't know if Askia will get aggressive off of this, and it looks like he will.
Okay, good luck, Askia. All right, my luck doesn't matter. Trent picks up Askia. And there's still 2 more players right behind him for the Union. Rafa tried his hardest. Can't pick up more than 1, and that is double digits for the guard.
Well played here from the guard. Not overcommitting, knowing ultimates are in place, so you can't just put players on site. They play offsite as well to avoid that rolling thunder and possibly the showstopper look, as Union will typically just go under tunnel, play the rolling thunder here. I wonder if that's what they're going to do in this round and set Askia up for an aggressive play towards tower with that orbital strike. We could see a triple ult combo here, and we'll see how guard plan to adjust. They might play off site or get aggressive towards arcade. That seems to be the look here, as Union, I think, actually going to fight for B control. We could see a massive under tunnel fight.
Exactly. If they can take arcade, they can take under tunnel. Let's see what the guard actually pull here. It's exactly that. The guard now pull up with the full control of the arcade side, but they don't go into the tunnel. Instead, they go back into sight, and the orbital cuts off the actual take from the Union. Good pick coming in from Askia, but this is still control here from the guard.
Spraying through that orbital strike and finding that kill on the Jonah P is massive. You don't have that delay util anymore, that rechargeable fault line that is so powerful on this map. It can be sent across the map as well. You put a lot of pressure onto net here. Union putting pressure on B, causing a rotate from the guard, has put everything here on the back of net.
Needs to basically be full manpower. There's no stopping power.
You don't break this trip just yet. You wait for your team to get up.
Net getting caught out. Aftershock right in his way, but oh, okay. He's trying to be a bit cheeky here, trying to lay down the mesh. But nobody falling down. Pank Still waiting for his opportunity. You still have Tex actually pulling up a kill, and Ned actually finally pops with an angle onto Pank. Pank just not ready for it. Orbital Strike comes in with the Rolling Thunder at the same time. Union trying to clamp down onto the guard in the middle of their own spawn, but they're just not able to do so. Valen coming in through spawn takes down one, but the Union, they bring back an even man advantage. 3v3 off the revive. 2 players from the guard coming in from main at the moment. 2 players from the Union on site, and one of them isn't showing themselves at the moment. Askia jumping down. He's going to be the mobile one. He's going to be the one to show the first look if anyone from the guard actually comes out. But no, the Union are just getting pitched down. There goes Tex. There goes Trev with the frags. And now it is just Goo 1v2. And he can't get any of them. The guard now 1 away.
How good did guard look in that round and in that retake? Early ult over towards B, establishing that B main control. And that's what allows Valen's flank and allows re-establishment of A main. Where Union love to play their post plans. You give them room to set up there, and that's where they'll win it here on Fracture. Valen denying that space after using, again, that early orbital strike over towards B main. That's what earns them control. That's where, as well, Guard are very good in these retakes. Not just because they're 5v4s, because they understand what parts of the map they have and where they can make the retake happen from. And there they made it happen from A main. And this is a big timeout call here by the Union, because they are put in a very high pressure situation where they don't have a lot of wiggle room to work with now. Those ultimates that they used in that round, all that they had left over, and now they've got nothing left.
They weren't able to get anyone with those ultimates, man. But like you said, positioning from the guard was pretty much everything. 2 players coming in from main. They didn't need to readjust or anything like that. Already there. The Union, again, those 2 lost ultimates. It's essentially now back to square one. Where's the effects from Askia here on this attacking side? We're not really looking at either raises as really that first kill potential. But the Union needs some sort of spark here, because they really haven't been able to get their footing here.
They'll have to do it without those ultimates that I was mentioning. A very expensive round, not only in terms of momentum in this game and economy-wise. They're playing for overtime now with this 5 Sheriff buy, something that is dangerous in the hands of the Union, who haven't been the best in eco rounds, but granted, they haven't been put in a lot of eco situations.
Exactly,
so
yep.
We'll see what they can do here. This 5 Sheriff buy. The guard will have to be careful not to over push here. We know they love their set pieces on defense, but here they're playing back, not willing to give up any early picks to this Union squad.
Not a single person with a deep peek, but hold on now, hold on now. So players are towards the tree. Yeah, they have a smoke in front of them. Could still be very dangerous with Rafa being able to step up and potentially take one away on the rotation back. He hears the footsteps. Still have the movement over towards Dish 2. Rafa calling this out for his teammates. And here comes Pank just making noise over towards A to really sell this. This could actually work out. Rafa looking to step up with 2 targets right in front of him. The players over towards Arcade, they're not going to really run into any pressure right now. The players on B at least no pressure, but Pank, he's got the hounds on him. Couple players on his back. He does have Rafa for the support, but there finally goes the spike plant. That's basically mission accomplished here for the Union if they can get it down. But here comes Trent finally with the cleanup. As we should expect here from the guard, the rifles should be connecting. No, Pank. Taking a little too long for him to go down. NTK and Askia, the last 2 to go down in an instant. Everyone's surviving from the guard. That's all that you could really expect, but 12-9, the Union need to do it all here.
And on their own map for Fracture as well. They're one of the favorites, probably the favorite, given the way that they've played in the group stages leading into playoffs. But I think despite that and how good they looked against M80, that was an M80 with a lot of land jitters. The guard don't have that, and they're a much more refined team, and I don't think the Union were prepared for an NA team of this caliber, this well-refined look. Come on! Nice! And guard, they know that this was a big map they needed to pick up, and I think they let it slip in the map pool purely because of how much film and how much prep they probably set up for this Union team. And in this final round, there's not going to be those ult plays. You can see the guard are prepared for a fast A play by once again getting aggressive towards Sands and avoiding that util. Union don't typically make these dish kind of execs, and they're trying to switch it up here and catch guard off guard. Oh, got it. Yeah.
You have, at the moment, Tex in a golden position to potentially take down this Dish play, but like you said, the players in Dish are going to be very dangerous. What's going to be the reaction here? How is Trent going to use his Nightfall?
I think he'll use his Nightfall to get deep in towards A main here.
Oh, they use it straight over towards Dish. Like I said, Tex, the X Factor, but he's only able to get one. And Jonah P, the last man remaining in a 1v1 against Rafa on site. He's down and out for the count, and now Valen and Net try to close this one out early. Step up into two very different angles. One over towards Dish, one over towards main.
That's damage, though. You got to keep players alive here, Union.
They still have a long road to go before they end up making this comeback onto the guard. So the rifles would be nice. Union.
Valen, he's going to go hunting here, it looks like.
Yeah, I love these exits. Net going into spawn.
There's not a clean instance here for the Union. If they lose another player here, it would actually be very costly to lose an extra gun here. They don't really have the cash to work with, unfortunately. And you have to keep these players alive. That's also just ult charges as well, going the way of the guard.
Valen not going for any more. Still incredibly pivotal for the guard. There's still going to be a weird buy coming up from the Union.
Look at this buy here. It's going to be lacking util if Askia wants to go full armor. He should be going light armor here. Yeah, this is not the most optimal look here from the Union, and those 3 kills actually coming back to hurt Union a little bit. Not in a major way, as they will still have full rifles due to the light armor meta, and they will be able to get their util up as well. But yeah, again, you need to have these clean rounds. You're playing for overtime at this point in time, and it's on your map pick, your best map in your map pool, one that we've seen play 3 times, and they've never been pushed to this scoreline so far in Ascension. Guard have done a great job of reading the way Union will play their offense and defense.
Hold on now, Pank.
Off for Tex, first time we've seen it here.
Tex doesn't get a chance to actually show it.
They get him onto the showstopper here for the retake on B.
It's going to be 2 pieces of util on site here for the guard, and that's 8 in terms of coverage. The man is going to get covered by 1 single smoke in front of him. This might be a full 5v5 retake.
And this time, the guard don't have that space control that allows them to get into these retakes. They're very well coordinated, but they don't have any advantages outside of that coordination. And up against a team like the Union, you're giving time to them. They've just gotten 1, though. That could be a huge lead-in.
Here.
That wall again, that could just chip down the numbers with a bit of an off angle.
Look at that combo!
Oh, the nade goes in and it banks! Goo! Still a lot more to do here for the guard as the kills do go their way. Rafa picking up 1, NTK picking up 2 more. Tex, no! No way!
Tex!
No, he just finds himself in the perfect position to take down 1. And now it is Askia in a 1v1 against Jonah P. And Askia shuts it all down.
To keep Union alive, Askia in a 1 versus 1 clutch. Him and Tex both having their explosive moments. But Askia pulling his team out of the mud. He's had such a quiet map at 13 and 20. That was the head-to-head between him and Tex that we wanted. Look at this util combo. The guard having these kind of set pieces for these retakes. Again, that's the coordination that I talk about, and using Tex as well as ultimate to get in. It's just unfortunate there that Rafa doesn't find that kill. You could have had a much cleaner post plant, but still, Union hanging on by a thread, and the guard will call their attack pause. Giving a lot of space to the Union on that B site might be a mistake they have to correct.
Oh my word. That was looking tough, to say the very least.
Yeah.
NTK had to really scrap for those 2 kills. I thought the off angle from Rafa was going to do everything there.
But he goes down to a shorty.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Just fireworks right now. It's a day late. But the guard, that was looking like their round no matter how you looked at it.
I think this is where we'll see one of the crazy set pieces that guard cook up on their defensive side. They've done just kind of, I think, regular regression, but I want to see what the ults have here. If they want to push the south side of the map with ult combo, trying to go for a crunch either north or south, it could be very effective here, but they don't have those ultimates. Maybe they'll look for space to get Jonah P on an ult or to deny these ultimates. There are a lot of ults that could come into the forefront here of this round and could definitely change the tides of this game.
Oh, but the guard are playing very isolated. It's one person.
Union are trying to punish, I think, this early A play that they've seen over and over from the guard so far.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Disregard everything I've ever said against Tex. Tex all the way out in the open, uses the satchel to get out, but what is this combo? The op could still get more.
It's a great way to punish him.
Yeah, the Union funnel him out, squeeze him out of there, but now the rest of the guard rotating back in. The Union just reset themselves.
Taking their time to get that res. Net thinks he's got a timing here.
I know
they're watching him as well. And Union will reset for this exec. They picked up the up for NTK. who is looking for a kill that he can get for free, basically. The op is a little bit easier to find that kill, and he can get his ults online as well, but they might just re-clear this space over towards B tree if Ult Orb hasn't been taken by Net, which it hasn't. He was already on his ult.
Net still has the info over towards B tree. He can back out. He has the trip.
And TK's got this one, and they can make an exit happen.
Nobody here from the guard can help this out too. It's all going to be on Net. Net, what can he pull off here? The Rolling Thunder doesn't go in his direction. What can Net do here? Net pulls down one, pulls up the cam, and runs away. This might be incredibly safe here from Net.
And look at this, he's maintained arcade control as well. This is going to be a very difficult post plant if they can even get the spike down.
Pank rolling around, Jonah P going down.
Sees him.
Pank going absolutely off, getting a second Valen and Net now. The last two to go, and NTK with a snipe down on Net. Leaves it all now on Valen. A 1v4 now. See what now the captain could try to pull off as now NTK has the first angle, but it's actually Rafa with a one-tap who puts the Union into overtime.
And they have adapted so well as this map has gone on, and it's pulled them back in these last 3 rounds. Not making those full execs and those mistakes of giving early kills to this Union team. Look at how they isolate Tex as well, knowing he has the operator. And now in overtime, Union have been here before, but it was on a different map against a different NA team. What have they got cooked up here on this defensive side? What adaptations have they made here as well? They did have a pretty strong defensive look, but the guard as well have a very good understanding of how to play against this Union aggression, and they will sit back a lot of the times. Look for those early picks. You've got 5 players that the guard pride themselves on. Anyone can step on it at any given moment. And those duels Union are not looking to take whatsoever here.
None of that aggression, but none of that one-side control that we see from the guard either. Very spread at the moment. Multiple players on the north side, but whoa, never mind, not anymore.
This is how Valen has been calling this fracture game. He's trying to isolate this map to 2 lanes, that being the A main and the B tree area, so he can make those kind of mid-round calls and manipulate rotations. It's a little bit harder here than it is on Haven, but he's trying to make it work by isolating the 4 lanes.
Jonah P with a stun, and it's going to be Askia all the way out in the open, picking down on 2. A flash in his face, but nobody peeks out with it. But they're still going. They're still trying to peek in. Askia's getting a couple more with a showstopper in his hands. He can still blow apart Jonah P. Jonah P running away now in a 1v4. But what a hold coming in for the Union that the guard just didn't have really any options to make those players scramble.
There's that adaptation from the Union, putting the wall towards arcade and trying to force these players over towards the south side. They even had a double push as well between Askia and NTK. There was a fault line towards Dish. Askia took the peek, didn't see anything. But the round's not over here. And
spike planted.
Jonah P has been very good in playoffs. I don't know how good he is here though, because he's got 3 players coming the other way.
Playoff. No way, the playoffs call onto Jonah and he just can't do anything with it in this round. But it's all Askia though. What a hold from Askia and A main.
Certainly coming alive here. These last couple rounds, and the 1v1 to keep his team in it. And had a 3K over towards A main. After again, Union establishing control on arcade and Dish. Forcing this play over here towards A main, and look how prepared they were as well. NTK having his full line charged up after using it towards Dish. Just able to push these players back. And now Union on their offense. This is where they made the late adaptation. They had 3 rounds in a row.
Look, the energy too. I love that from Askia. The young man on his home ground. He's showing an incredible example for the rest of his team now too. Union have been a team who they haven't really faced any sort of challenges throughout this year, whether you talk about, of course, the Brazilian League or in this Ascension tournament. Union up against the rock in a hard place, needed to make a bit of a comeback.
Yeah.
And they're showing an incredible look still. Great composure, at least, coming out from this team.
And guard, another tactical timeout. You get 1 extra in overtime, 2 in regulation, and 1 for overtime. And so the guard, this is where you probably want to see a defensive switch up, as Union have adapted. And I think Josh Artia has recognized that. They're baiting out Tex and finding ways to put him on uncomfortable spots where he's a free kill, or at least a very tradable kill. We talked about how Tex, not on that Jet agent, is not going to be able to get out just as easy. And he wasn't in that last round that led us to overtime. But he won't have the op here. And Union going for another A hit here, but it's a very look. They typically have the Sage over here. Rafa will send that slow orb right in front and set up a barrier orb as well. I wonder what this routing is going to be. This is not an exit I've seen. Rafa's always here towards A main. And they hide from the Prowler.
It's just the Prowler, though. Nobody else from the guard stepping up. Tex.
And this is where Union have been good. They're going to try and bait a repeat from Tex as he gets caught off guard. No, he doesn't.
No, Tex runs away too. He's disciplined, misses out on the nade, but all good. He's back into a good position. NTK is trying to burst out of Sands, but he actually backs out immediately over into the A take. There needs to be some smokes here. There's no coverage here for the Union. NTK picking up the kill onto Tex. And still the Union actually have full A control.
And look already, the guard are ready to retake in towards Sands.
No, Jonah P goes out immediately. It was alongside the flash, and Trent takes away Goo. The speed, the hustle from the guard.
They're fighting game A. This is where Union play their post plants, and they're fighting here.
NTK and Askia funneled at the moment. They're both over towards A main. Nobody covering sight. Nobody with any way to burst back into sight. NTK does have an aftershock. He may get a rolling thunder if he can get some kills going. But Jonah P shuts down the drama.
And there's a great bait there from the guard, baiting a peek out over towards Sands where Net is fully prepared. Love that from the guard. Once again, understanding how these post fans are going to work. You can see the pressure they applied already. If there was a wall there from Rafa, they would have broken it almost immediately in towards tower. And yeah, here you see their focus is towards Sands because in these post plants, this is where Union love to go. You give time for Goo to set up with his volley, time for the nade to be played as well from Askia. It's not happening here as they get baited into the peak, and the guard will push us to another overtime. As they keep us going here, and once again, this is the best map that you can have. They need to close this one out. Ascent we haven't seen from them.
Where are you?
Everyone from the guard, except for one over on the north side, going over towards Arcade, and this is also a different look from the Union. Goo, with the only contact,
Right here.
sitting back basically, over towards spawn, and he actually making an early call.
I think this is like one of the few times we'll ever see Rafa play the wall towards A. Switching up the defense one more time here is Union, and they've put instead Askia here with no Cypher trips to work off of. They completely flipped their defensive setup. I don't know if the guard will be prepared for this change.
Tex trying to at least get some information going in with the play over towards tower, but NTK is given more than enough time to adjust. Takes down Tex, nobody else from the guard able to get in without the map control.
And look how good Union have delayed a volley over towards the arcade area. An aftershock after getting that kill, and that was something the guard were not prepared for. That's the first time that you've actually had the breach in towards tower. Yes, they've done full ends across the map, but not at that angle. And Tex getting caught off guard.
Cage triggered.
Oh, Net trying to do something crazy.
Cage triggered.
Ardip are good at their 4v5s. They win 48% their attacking side 4v5s because of that mid-round calling from Valen. But this is a different map and not his domain.
But they've reset all the way here. Cut noise. They have no idea where they're coming from. The Union are now down to 3 on this site. This is possible here for the guard. Askia holding things back again, though. But it is Goo to hold down 2, and Askia does the same. A Zenny flawless as the Union are now once again 1 away.
And this is where Union are comfortable. They just stacked that B site because you have 2 Sentinels on the A site. Why would you gamble a rotate on A? You can play 3 players on B pretty confidently. Goo finding 2 as well through that smoke. This was just, again, a very well-played route here from the Union, changing up their defensive setup and punishing Texas aggression in towards tower. A very well-played round and a gamble to make a change like that, but it pays off as Union will use their final timeout to switch up their attacking side. This isn't about, calming themselves down. It's about making a change to their offense where they aren't finding success right now.
Yeah, we haven't seen those incredibly big set pieces from the guard on the defensive side to make Union really scramble in the early round either. It's at this point, the Union
will have to make an adaptation one more time. And what will that adaptation be? Is it a fast play? Are they going to go back to that A exec? Or are they trying to change something up once again? They've done a different look, and especially in that overtime, putting Rafa over towards Dish was something I have not seen from the Union. And they typically use that wall over towards Sands, where Tower is, but this time around they don't. And it didn't catch the guard off unaware. There you go. I didn't say the off-guard pun, but
thank you.
I wonder what Union will do in this round. I wonder if maybe they'll approach the B side, where they do use that wall towards Canteen. But that's not the case. It's actually their 5-man hit. I don't know if Rafa's in a position where that slow orb hit will come through. And we might see that combination here in a second, but it doesn't look like it. They're actually just going to go fast. Maybe an A main push.
And you still have plenty of utility here for the guard. The fade alongside the breach, but here comes already the push from Askia. The double satchel in. Tax is in that same exact position that we saw him before. Do they call him out? But the guard finally come up big in their sands hold. Double coming up from Jonah P alongside Trent. And Trent continues to stomp away. 2 kills as the players from the Union inch their way out into sight. And now it's all on Rafa.
We'll see what he can do here. All right, hear me out. Gets a kill, gets the ult orb. My bad, gets 2 kills, gets the ult orb, 2v2. He's got a chance here. Minute left to play with. Rafa. Oh man, Rafa. His team just gets decimated as they come through as well. That's just an unbreakable guard setup that they've run over and over in this matchup. Putting Jonah P towards tower, Trent as well with his prowlers, info clear, play with the haunt as well in Sands. They've been dominant in this Sands here. There's not been a successful take from the Union towards Sands all game long. And if you are a Union, you have to feel pretty stumped on your attacking side now.
Back to the attempt
30
from
seconds
Rafa.
left.
I don't think he knows about the man on top. Net could have a bit of fun with this. And Rafa's done for. He's boxed completely. 20 seconds left. 3 players on site. They're all done. Let's get back into the next. The guard going back on their attack side. Again, neither team have won an attack side round.
3rd overtime here. The best Brazilian team, and now the newly crowned North American champs going into Ascension. It was M80, but they've been dethroned with the guard knocking them to the lower bracket. And map number 1, we've got overtime. This is what we wanted. A big contest between 2 teams that took down the favorites in this event. M80, formerly #1 for franchising spot, has been given up to these 2 guys. The powerhouse is here. Union have switched up that defense setup again. And I don't know if the guard are anticipating that kind of play once more, but it looks like they're looking for any aggression here. They've spread themselves thin.
The Union again. With this adjustment, they are playing with a bit of a trap setup over towards the B site. It's the guard that if they make their inch up, it's gonna be an immediate response from the Union. 1, 2, 3 angles that this team doesn't know about that pops up in an instant. Wall over towards A main though.
Probably re-hit the A site when this wall goes down. Tex is wondering if Rafa is on top of the wall. Rafa getting a ping. I don't know if he's heard a sound cue, but that wall going up is lured guard over towards the say hit. And I think they're recognizing that this is probably the weaker site because the Sentinel's here.
Rafa needing to back up. There goes the tripwire. Rafa's going to be the only player actually in the middle of sight. And he doesn't have a lot to use. It's only the Slorb.
And there's not time here for the guard to make a pivot. No, there is. They're actually going to gamble all the way towards the B site. VALORANT has just dropped his Stimpy, going to make the rotate.
Yeah, Pank heard at least the sands opening, but again, everyone backing up.
NTK's gonna fall out in an nade, regardless of what happens here.
Yeah, Askia's gonna be ready. There goes the nade. There goes Goo, and there goes Askia. Askia, Rafa, everyone holding it down. That's on the other side of the map. 2 more players here for the guard trying to bring it back. There's still actually a little bit of a chance. Trent getting fully flashed. 7 seconds left. 6 seconds left. Just trying to get the plant down, but it's not gonna happen. NTK shuts down the last 2. But the options were there for Union the entire time.
And that smoke coming down, I think the guard just didn't feel comfortable going into that site, knowing the Cypher, the Sage, and the Brimstone were there. They tried to make a last-second pivot, but not enough time. And Union holding all that util. They don't make those kinds of aggressive plays and dump a lot of util. They have so much for those situations. And Union, once again, on map point here on Fracture. Can they close it out here on the offense? The guard, once again, have to make a defensive round happen. And the Union are switching it up. 2 rounds they've gone towards A. And for their 3rd one, they're going to go B.
At least that's the thought for now. They put a sound cue over towards the A site.
Feigning pressure here to try and lure players into a fight.
It's going to be Pank continuing that contact at the same time. Everyone from the Union just inching their way forward into B. They're actually going to go into Arcade through tunnel.
He gets away. Of course he does the haunt. He just catches it on the way out. And now Union, I think if you're guard, you have to know that this is going to be a B hit. And how fast is this flank? Goo is kind of privy to that flank happening. but can he punish these three? He's got no support.
There's an incredible angle for Goo. What can he pull off here? Goo pulls up with 2, needs another one to really make this round happen. But Tex and Valen give themselves a chance. But Rafa roughing up Valen, and now it is only Tex in a 1v3. Tex, double satchel, he gets the kills here, and he might... wait a minute, and he might have the showstopper. Still 3 more targets to go off of the revive, but Tex...
There's just not enough time, I don't think.
Yet another miraculous ending to a bit of an interaction. Tex, like you said, not too much of a chance. He's still gonna burst in, doesn't clear Askia's corner, and now the Union, 1 map away from representing their country on land.
It was certainly a very labored map, don't get me wrong. The guard certainly putting up quite the fight to push us into a triple overtime, but at the very end, it will be the Union taking their map big. It's been a map that they've been very good on, but this time around, the guard pushing their limits. They definitely had the adaptations. I don't think Union were fully prepared for this guard look.
No, but we still ended up seeing, again, huge adaptations from both teams. You ended up seeing even Net throughout the game actually complimenting his team's mid-rounding. Yeah. Again, in a game where we couldn't really see a big feature of that. But again, a hard-fought, well-fought game, a marathon here between, again, the 2 best teams currently in this tournament. And I mean, it is giving us the showcase that we wanted.
It is exactly what we wanted. 2 teams that have been touted the best, probably the 2 favorites for Ascension. I think they both are pretty deserving of it at this point in time. Ascension is only heating up here in the upper finals. We've got another map coming up, but for now, it's going to go to the desk to break things down.
Can I get a check from both of y'all? Are you okay after that first map? Because we're starting this one out on a high note. Triple OT. And on the edge of our seats the entire time. Tanner, this was worthy of our upper finals for sure.
Yeah, you know, we saw a I guess a regulation game where the Union was just finding the minor things. They were winning the 1v1s. They were swinging rounds in their favor. And then we jump into overtime, and the heroics from both sides were absolutely insane. Obviously, the B-side lockdown from Goo and Askia, and then Trent and Net and Tex on defense. And man, it was wow.
I feel like that puts it up pretty well, Starry. It's just wow going into this. And the adaptations made by both teams, learning to play around each other on this first pick of Fracture was just so intense. Like, there wasn't a single moment where I'm like, oh, I know how this is going to be ending up, because both teams were really just stepping up.
No, honestly, this game had me holding my breath. Like, just the plays and the multi-kills going on both sides. You have, like, Tex popping off, and then you have Pank also getting the trades, and then Askia waking up in the later half, just, like, completely dominating, getting those multi-kills. Like, I think, like Tanner's mentioned, it just came down to those little things, like those little 1v1s. It came down to so many 1v1 moments that if it just went in the way of the guard, I feel like the guard could have easily closed down this map.
A lot of what if moments too, and I'm looking back at this and just how tight this entire series was, because we even got to see earlier on that there was things coming down to just the smallest of margins. There was the defuses where there couldn't be this right through the smoke. Right at the end, just one little hit around the corner and someone getting tagged. Like, there are so many different ways like this could have panned out, Tanner, and I feel like that is so indicative of the skill that both of these teams having going on into this. And even this, just right out of the gate, Union taking that first map, only 11 of the first kills, but still coming out on top.
This is what I wanted to see too, is where the first kills were, because I feel like the guard, I mean, Tex was going crazy in first kills. It felt like the Union were starting a player down a lot of the time, but then you saw it in those highlights where you've got players who are kind of just planting their feet in the middle of a site and finding 2 frags, and then all of a sudden the first kills don't matter anymore, and the Union are finding ways to win rounds.
100%, and you really got to applaud Union on that even when they're down a member to start things off, how well they are able to rally around each other, because it really did seem like an entire team effort coming out here, Starry. I feel like everyone was so coordinated on their hits, and then looking on the side of the guard, it was great all around, but I do have to applaud Tex because there was some crazy stuff happening.
Yeah, like Tanner mentioned, like even when we were watching the game, I was talking about it, I was like, Tex is getting these really good first kills, and then all of a sudden the Union come in and they're able to kind of like even out the numbers, or like they can kind of read where the rotations are going, so they don't even rotate off the site that they're on, and they're able to get those multi-kill rounds and really like plant their feet onto the site and not even let the guard in.
And there's a couple of rounds that we wanted to dive into a little bit deeper. And sorry, I'm gonna let you take the first one. This is looking back at a post-plant situation coming all the way back from round 17.
Yeah, so round 17 here, you can really see how strong the Union's post-plant are. Even though the guard get the first kill in Sands, you can see the Union are so ready to get that trade there. They literally immediately open the door and get the trades back and able to even out the numbers and even get the picks. And it ends up being like a 1v3 at the end, and they're able to kind of win the round.
Going on forward to round 20 here. Oh, this is intense, Tanner.
Yeah, this one here is just one of the guard retakes. It's something that we set up, followed by, I mean, heroics right at the end. We talked about how much the small heroics, somebody really stepping up in a position, was working for the Union, right? Was what was getting the Union back in the game and not allowing the guard to close out the map. So we see Tex go for a similar thing, right? Hey, I'm going to plant my feet. I'm gonna go for a second kill. Had that second shot landed, maybe the round ends differently and the guard close out that map. But it was, I mean, a game of inches.
That last round too, before we get into the overtime, was so intense because Tex, that was such a nice shot around the corner, but the Union with the fastest adaptation to instantly drop the orbital strike and force Tex's hand a little bit. And I feel like too, when we get to see Starry, the fact that Tex had these 10 first kills, but then all of a sudden things like that are happening. The Union had the res after, all of a sudden they're able to claim the round, they get the overtime. I feel like just so many little moments like that that really put the Union on top.
Yeah, like we talked about before, like the Union's mid-round adaptations are so quick. And in order to beat that, you just have to be quicker. And the fact that Tex is able to get that first kill and they're just that much quicker to respond, like the orbital strike immediately comes in. They even like stun the angle where they think that he's gonna go for the other peak. And they're just like so prepared for like what the next step is. And then the one off the Sage res and they grab the alt orb only to res the person that got killed to come back into the round to keep their numbers up. Like all of that is like a split-second decision. Like you cannot predict that at all.
100%. And I don't know if we're gonna get map 3 in this, but I do know that we're definitely getting our rounds in. That is 100% for sure. I don't imagine the next map is gonna be any different. We're heading to Ascent next. The guards pick. We're taking a short break. Make sure to be back for it.